Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
So on the top of the bumper, there are two Phillips head screws on each corner. I'm going to remove those using a Phillips head screwdriver. The top corner of the bumper edge, there's a 10mm self-tapping screw. I'm going to use a 10mm socket, extension and ratchet to remove it. There's also a Phillips head part in it. You could use a Phillips head screwdriver, but I find the ratchet to be easier to use with the socket. So I'm going to remove this one here, and then the same for the other side. We're going to start on the passenger side. Only the passenger side has this little plastic nut. Unscrew it and take it off. Use a small flat-bladed screwdriver to pop these push clips out. They're probably filled with dirt and they usually jam up. It's a good chance you might break them and you'll have to have some new ones on hand to replace them. Once the center part unlocks, they usually slide out a lot easier. But yeah, it's just filled with dirt and jammed up. It's the same for this one here. If they get really stuck, you can use a trim clip tool to pry them out. So remove these two push clips here. These two self-tapping bolts can stay in place. Now our bumper is loose on this side. Along the lower edge of the bumper is this black sort of trim piece. There are push clips in here. We're not removing those push clips. We're going to move over to these ones where you can see the body color of the bumper on these tabs here, this one here, this one here, this one here. There's 4 of them. Remove those push clips in the same manner as the other ones. You use a little bit of glass cleaner because, like I said, these get caked up with dirt, and the glass cleaner will help make it easier for them to come apart. Once you get them sort of lifted up like that, then you can slide the tool under here and pry them out. But even for a plastic thing, they really get jammed up with dirt. Just repeat this for all the other push clips on the body color tabs. There's a push clip here on this side. Instead of having that nut like on the passenger side. And these all just removed just like the other ones. Bumper looks nice and loose. To remove the bumper, there's a plastic bracket under here that the bumper clips into. So with these, all the clips and bolts loose, I'm gonna pull the bumper cover off. It's gonna sound like I'm breaking it. But you just kind of give them a good tug like that. It'll come loose. Go this way with it. There's a hook underneath the tail lamp. I'm going to go to the other side and unclip this side too. This one was already loose. Somebody probably backed into something. You kind of give it a good little tug. And once it's off, the bumper cover is not very heavy. And there it is. To remove the tail lamp, you need to remove a bunch of the trim in here. That is unlocked, but if this was locked, the little knobs here tell you how to unlock it. This one you turn counterclockwise. This one you turn clockwise. Lift it up, and we take the whole floor out of the cargo area. Lift this tray right out. For the passenger side, we'll lift this cover off. It's actually where your battery is. If you're doing the driver's side tail lamp, you just lift out this cover. This tray can come out. It has a little screw piece in here. And it's a plastic screw. If it's loose enough, you can take it off with your fingers, but it is a 10mm plastic piece. It also has a spot for a screw. But once that's out, you can lift this plastic out and take it out as well. From here, the procedure will be the same for both sides. We're gonna pop this trim piece up from the trunk area. Just unclips. And it should come up and out. Gonna remove the cargo tie-down hooks. There's one here and one here. They both have these 10mm bolts in them, so we use a 10mm socket extension. Put those aside. Do the same with the other one. It's a 10mm screw up here. You could put a Phillips head in it or use your 10mm socket. Push the seat down to get it out of the way. Because I need to remove a cover behind here to get to the screw so I can take this whole trim panel out. You could try to pop this out and fold it back, but I don't want to damage this trim cover. It will just pop out, but it doesn't give you a lot of room. You really have to fold it, and I don't want to damage it. So at the top, there's this little cover here. This is probably where a privacy cover goes if it's missing. There's a little slot. Take the small flat-bladed screwdriver and pry this out. You would take this out. This is actually the fastener here. Let's slide the seatbelt out of the slot here. Work this panel off of the little lockdown loop for the seat, and also slide it out from behind the panel here, and then work it up and out from behind this panel. And we'll put this aside. So that just clips back up in there. The driver's side will be the same. I'm going to unplug the tail lamp, pull out this harness here, slides out, and then you can push in the lock, push the lock down here, pull it out. There are two studs with 10mm nuts holding the tail lamp in. I'm going to use a deep 10mm deep socket to remove these. Once they're loose, I'll just take them off with my fingers. I'm going to reach in behind. This tail lamp is clipped into place once it's unbolted. There is a clip over here. I'm going to reach in behind and help push it out. Get it free. I'm going to use a plastic prying tool. You can get this set from 1A Auto. I'm going to carefully slide it in between the tail lamp and the body. Clip is right about here. I use this to help. I'm going to pry it straight out. I want to pry it off. I want to pry it towards the back of the car. So maybe I'll use this end with the curve. Kind of push on it. So yes, that takes quite a bit of force to get them out. So there's actually these little push clips in here. Here's our original taillight we pulled from our vehicle, and our brand new one from 1AAuto.com. Same style with the LEDs, same style turn signals, reverse light bulbs, running light bulbs. Comes with a new clip for the bumper. Flip them over. Comes with the new wiring harness, new seal. Comes with these new white plastic clips that one of them broke when we were removing it. The connector is the same. This will work great and fit great in the vehicle. There's a clip here on the outside of the body that needs to slide into this opening here in the tail lamp housing. And these clips, these white ones, are going to push into the body, and then of course we'll put the nuts on afterwards. So get up into position. There it is. I push it in place, and click it in. And reinstall the nuts. Snug them up. Once you feel them get tight, just stop. You don't want to break the stud out of the plastic. Plug the connector back in. And click when it locks in place. And reinstall your trim panels. The only thing different on the driver's side, I'll just pull this out a little bit. When you reinstall it, you'll have to reconnect your courtesy light that's in the trunk. Click when it locks in place, and then of course you'll unplug it by pushing in the lock, pulling it out, and taking this trim off. Otherwise, it's identical to the passenger side. I'll reinstall the rear bumper. Slide it into place. Get underneath these hooks, or on these hooks that are underneath the taillights on both sides. Get it started on both sides. Hold it in place. If you're doing this on the ground, you're gonna have to slide underneath the car and just make sure that this tab, this body color tab, is on the other side of this bracket. So bend it up. That'll help slide the bumper in further. So the bumper needs to come out and go around the splash shield. Slide it into place like that. It's going to go over this little part here, so it's going to be pushed up. It will snap into place. We'll do the same for the other side. Bracket's damaged on this side of the car, it's bent out, but it should normally sit right flush in there. Our bumper corner was sticking out here. It's because the bracket was not correctly installed. This tab is supposed to go on the other side of the sheet metal here. There's 3 10mm bolts that have Phillips head screw cutouts, but we're gonna use the 10mm socket, extension, and ratchet. We'll just loosen this bracket up. I probably don't even need to take these bolts all the way out. We'll just loosen them up. Well, I guess I do have to loosen them up. And they'll come right off. Pop it out, pull it off the clips, slide that bracket underneath, pop it back into place. Reinstall these self-tapping bolts. Lift the bumper up, slide it into place. Needs to go over this little pin that's sticking out. It's clipped into place. It's not sticking out anymore. It's flush with the body. We'll reinstall our self-tapping screws that have these plastic grommets around them. Do the same for both. And reinstall the self-tapping screw. It goes in each bumper corner. It goes right here into that opening. And the same for both sides. This is threaded stud here. So I'm going to push the bumper down and over it. And this little plastic nut went on here. This is only on the passenger side. The rest of the bumper is held on with push clips. You can reuse the old ones. We'll push them in. Lock in place. Push clips are over here, the body colored part. Pull this down a little bit, set up in there, locking in. So if it helps, these get crudted up with dirt. These push clips, you can use some glass cleaner or some soapy water to get them to move freely again. There's still some dirt in this one, but no big deal. It's gonna get dirty again. It'll just help it go into the opening, push it in to lock it. And just do the same for all of them. The bumper is reinstalled. Reinstall the trim panel. Kind of get it in place here. You have to slide it. It is very flexible. It'll go between the carpet. Just pull the seat belts out of the way here. So there's a lip here that's going to go underneath the trim. So you just kind of have to carefully maneuver it. It does have some flex to it. Push it in underneath. There's also an opening here for the hook that the seats hook to when they're up. Slide it down and push that over. And then push this behind. Just gonna pop that in here. And then feed the seat belt. Make sure it's not caught. It's gonna go underneath and through this opening here. It'll sit in the trim. And we'll get it lined up. There's a bunch of tabs along the top. Push down in place. Tricky one to get in is this clip here. It needs to go in front of the seatbelt. There's a square opening in the sheet metal for it. So you gotta kind of flex the trim around a bit to get the other part started. Snap it in place. Get these lined up, clip them in place. We'll put this plastic lock back in, goes underneath where the seatbelt sits. Just pushes in place. Reinstall the self-tapping screw that goes up here. Just going into a plastic grommet. Once it gets tight, just stop. Reinstall the cargo tie-down hooks. They have a tab. This front one, the tab goes towards the top, helps locate it. These have these chrome bolts. Get it started. Just tighten it up. Just tighten it up and then stop. Do the same for this one here. The tab goes towards the bottom. This panel goes just here above the battery, clips into place. Just make sure your weather strip is over your carpet. You can just push it with your thumb to adjust it. And reinstall the cover. Just clips into place. This side panel clips over here, over the battery. Just sits in place. This little cargo bucket goes down here, and the threaded plastic screw goes here. And you just tighten it by hand. So right there, and the cover goes over it. Cargo tray goes in here. Reinstall your folding cover. There's 3 tabs at the top. They'll slide into place. You can close it. You can turn them to lock it if you want to. I'm actually going to readjust this cargo hook so it's up. Put back down, if you've got a cargo liner, will go back on top. Otherwise, the back of the car is reassembled.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at 1AAuto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.